Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Hang on, let me turn the racket off. Oh, that's a stretch. Sunday morning chat. It's a bit late in the morning for my Sunday morning chat. I should be watering really, but I've finished all my pots now. I've got holy clay pots to do, but they need some feed this time round. And that just sort of triggered some thoughts. We all know that our plants photosynthesize, and different to what it says in some of the old texts, I'll call them, books. A lot say, oh, you need sunlight to photosynthesize. No, you don't. Otherwise artificial lighting wouldn't work. You need light. And the more light you've got, the faster the process. Yeah? And it's a clever process. It's linked to something else going on in our plants. Photosynthesis takes in air basically through the little holes in the leaves and stuff, and it uses the carbon dioxide in the air and chlorophyll in the plants, and there's a process that produces some sugars for the plant. Yeah, so it provides some food. Yeah, some basic sugars that can then be passed around the plant and used to help feed the plant. That's part of its food source. Quite important really. But there's something else going on. Respiration, not to be confused with breathing like what we does. Respiration goes on in the plant as well. And this takes place all the time, albeit very, very slowly, but it doesn't stop. Yeah? And it's quite a clever process because it basically is the exact opposite of photosynthesis. Yeah? So whereas during the day, when the light levels are there, the photosynthesis is taking place, and it's using carbon dioxide and some other stuff, quite a bit of hydrogen involved, and things from the air anyway, including the water. Yeah? And during that process, the waste product is oxygen. Well, we need a bit of that, so it's quite good that it goes on. That's why plants are so important in the world. But respiration, if you look at the chemical formula going on with photosynthesis, it's exactly the opposite. Yeah? So that basically uses oxygen, and the waste product is carbon dioxide. Well, given that that's going on all the time, but photosynthesis is much faster, during the day your plants are giving off oxygen, yeah? But during the night time the photosynthesis stops. So the waste product is carbon dioxide. And that's why, certainly in places like hospitals and things like that, plants are often removed from the vicinity of poorly people on the grounds that they're giving off carbon dioxide. And this is not good. So anyway, that's respiration. It's a very clever process and the opposite of photosynthesis. One needs light and one doesn't. One only works when the light's there, and the other one goes on all the time, albeit slowly. But both of the processes need those little holes in the leaves to be open, or it can't work. And this is what I was trying to get at in the last video. We've got transpiration, that's a completely different thing. That's the movement of everything through the plant. And its basic path is up from the roots with the water and anything else you've added to the water and anything it gets out of your media. And it passes up through the plants and ends up coming out through those holes in the leaves. And during that process, things can be dropped off. Yeah, from that nutrient-rich moisture that's passing up through the plant, those elements can be dropped off in the places they're needed. Yeah, now some of them can move around from that point and carry on moving around, and others they're just dumped and that's where they stay. You know, we've talked about nutrient mobility and non-mobile nutrients. I'm not doing that today. But again, like I said, when your plant is under duress due to heat, especially if combined with dry air, it will have an inbuilt safety mechanism which will shut down those little holes in the leaves, the stomata. Yeah? And you think of the effect. What's it trying to do? It's trying to not lose the moisture through transpiration. It's trying to hold it in there. But in doing so, it's stopping the other processes working properly. So it's stopping photosynthesis working properly because it's not taking in the carbon dioxide it needs to make it work. Yeah? Also means it's not giving off the oxygen for the same reason. The holes are all bunged up. They've got closure cells around them that just snap shut in times of serious stress. So obviously what's in the plant tends to be all it's going to get. And it's times like this you can get something where you keep pouring the stuff in at the bottom, the plant naturally takes it up through the roots and starts trying to process it around the plant, and sometimes you can get blisters on your leaves. And it's often caused by that level of stress where you've got what becomes excess moisture in the plant that it can't get rid of through those holes in the leaves. So sometimes the leaves can blister. I forget what that's called, but it has got a name. It's often confused with bug damage and viruses and all sorts of things, but it's a process that some plants, I've certainly seen it on Phalaenopsis and Cattleyas, where they just cannot get rid of their moisture, and the reason they can't get rid of it is normally they've shut down, and they've shut down due to stress for one reason or another. And the stress we've got at the moment is literally the very high temperatures. Yeah. And you have to bear in mind what the plant's trying to do, because with these high temperatures that I'm getting at the moment, I'm also getting excessively bright light for very, very long periods. Yeah? So there's all sorts of things going on with the plants that basically mean they're not working as they should. They're not running themselves efficiently. They're running into problems more than working well. So yeah, just a sort of word on what's going on inside the plants, and once you get to those stress levels due to heat, your plants will shut down. They try and conserve the moisture they've got inside by trapping it, and occasionally that can cause problems if there's excess, but it just slows the whole thing down. Now let's have another think. As I just said, I haven't done my holy clay pots because they need a bit of food. What are they going to do with that? And the answer at the moment is not a lot. Because if the plants are slowing down and starting to shut down due to the excess heat and the stress levels, the movement around the plant isn't working like it should do. Because there's no escape out through the leaves. So it's not going to use much, is it? Yeah? Food for thought. No pun intended there, talking about food. But yeah, so although I'm going to put a little bit of feed in, I am going to put it in at a very low level, because I don't think at this particular point the plants are going to use much. And if they're not going to use much, it's going to sit around in the pot and cause, you know, salts build up, which we just don't want. There's only one reason for putting food into the root areas of your plants, and that is that they can use it. So if you put too much, you're wasting it, firstly, and secondly, it'll hang around the roots and it doesn't do them a lot of good, you know. So only feed when your plants can use it. That's why my feed levels go down to next to nothing during the winter, because there's an awful lot of the types of plants in here that slow right down to next to nothing. Some of them even stop completely. Well, if they've stopped growing, yeah, what feed do they need? Obvious answer. Anyway, I need to crack on a bit because I've got a bit of a lull at the moment. We've got some what they call fair weather cloud, some high level cloud overhead that's stopping the bright sun and therefore stopping the heat building up. So although the time's getting on, I've got a little bit of a lull where, although what I do when I'm watering is I turn this fan off. If it's on, then I turn it off manually, because it blows everything all over the place. It's so powerful that's where I work just there. But I leave this one running. That gives a good blast around the top area of the whole grow room because it rotates. So everything up there is getting a good blast. So I'll leave that one running, but I shut this one down while I'm watering. So I just got to whiz around the holy clay pots, mix up some feed and stuff, and it will be a low level. I'll probably go in at a TDS of about 60, and then I'll probably add some CalMag into there. Because looking at my notes, the feed this time for the holy clay pots should be at the higher end of the pH, and as a consequence, yeah, some elements are not absorbed as well up that end, but the CalMag with the calcium and magnesium and the iron, because it's chelated, it goes in across the pH range. So by adding a little bit of that in, even though the calcium, the magnesium and the iron that's in my MSU formula might not be absorbed as well at the higher end of the pH range, the CalMag will. So it's like a substitute. It just makes flipping sure that some gets in there, but not much. It really will be a very low level feed. There's no point in stonking up your feed level when your plants are under stress. You probably do more harm than good, quite honestly. So yeah, good time to save a bit of money, because if you're in a similar situation to me, they're not getting much food. They're really not. They're not going to use it. So anyway, I had a bit of a problem. I filmed yesterday, and I just put the camera to one side. I didn't download it or anything. When I got round to doing it later in the day, I did exactly the same as I normally do. So I filmed it with the same camera on the same settings, took the files off of the camera onto the computer as I normally do. Now I don't touch them, I just put them in a folder with the date on them so I know which ones to go and get. Load up my software, yeah, open my startup project, amend the title page, and then drag in those clips that I've just taken off the camera, put it all together and save it, and then I go through a process that's called produce, which is the rendering function, which joins it all together as a single element ready to load on YouTube. And that takes a while. Since I had an update on my software, it seems to be taking a bit longer lately, but I can walk away from it. I don't have to sit there and watch it. So anyway, I did that, and that produces my file ready for YouTube. And I then go onto YouTube as I normally do, go into the dashboard, click upload, and it promptly said that it was an invalid file type. Well, it's the same file type that I've used since I started producing videos that long ago. The file type and its makeup, how it's produced, has not changed. So what has changed then? You stop and think, well, it's going to be YouTube, isn't it? It's been playing with the settings or mucking about with something, and then I thought, yeah, actually it could be Microsoft. Microsoft controls the way the file types work and how they can be handled and which bits of software can use which file type, so it could have been Microsoft. And anyway, I left it and gave up because I got annoyed. When I get annoyed, I turn and walk away. Have a think, do something else, and then come back fresh. And I came back fresh this morning, and I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll open up the software and open up the project again and render it again. Yeah, so I did that produced my file, went into YouTube, and it uploaded fine. So between me getting ratty early evening yesterday and this morning, something got tweaked, something got put right. So somebody yet again made some stupid mistake. Luckily it was found and put right. Now I didn't see a Microsoft update, but they're smaller updates. They just happen in the background. You know, as, if you're connected to the internet and you turn your computer or your tablet on, if there's an update waiting to go on Windows 10, it just runs whether you like it or not. Sometimes you have to restart to get it to fully function, but yeah. But anyway, something got tweaked, and it wasn't by me, so somebody put something right, because effectively it was wrong. Well, now it's right again, so problem over. So we should be okay from now on, until the next little beaver in some little office does something wrong, and somebody else comes along and said, "If you just change so and so," "Yeah, you asked me to do this." I said, "Yeah, I asked you to do that. Not this, this and this as well. Now go back and put it right. Do as you're told, not as you think." Anyway, all fixed now. I thought that was going to be a serious problem, because the only way around that would have been to change my file type, and that would have meant downloading some sort of file converter. They're around, I mean they're free, but it just adds time to the processing. I don't need that, not at the moment. Anyway, I shall crack on and see you next time. But do stop and have a think. If anybody else is suffering severely with the heat and trying to keep their humidity up, certain types of orchids, not all, but most, are probably going to slow right down, and some will shut down and just stop working properly. That doesn't mean you stop watering them. They still need to get some hydration in there, because don't forget, it's going to cool down overnight and the process will start working again. It's only while they're under that stress that it will slow down, or in some cases stop altogether. So don't go stonking a load of feed in your pots. They're not going to use it. But that doesn't mean to say you stop feeding, but it might be worth just having a think about the amounts you're putting in, bearing in mind, you know, most plants do most of their work during the daylight hours, have a rest at night. So if during the daylight hours they're not working properly, then they're not going to use the food up, or not as well as they would do on when they're comfortable, when they're in their comfort zone, which at the moment they are. I mean, at the moment it's lovely in here. It's about 26 degrees and what is it over there? 74% humidity. That's fine. That's a good growing conditions. It can go up to 28 and stay around 75, and everybody's happy. Once you top 30, I can't then maintain my humidity, and I certainly know that my Cattleya types are just going to shut down, and some others may well do as well. I don't know enough about the way each orchid type works, but Cattleyas are a bit unusual. They do have some mechanisms to cater for hot, dry periods. So anyway, have a think about that. It's all good fun. You can go on the internet and look it all up and get really serious about it and get all technical. But it's quite interesting to see the written down formula for photosynthesis, and then the written down formula for respiration, and if you put one underneath the other, they are exactly the opposite of each other. They've got the same elements going in and coming out. The magic thing is energy. Yeah, one creates energy for the plant, and the other one uses it. Yeah, there's difference. But yeah, it's magic what's going on inside there when it's working properly. See you next time.